hello again to my astrology channel. I wanted to do another video about a aspect that I've been thinking about talking about for a very long time again. And I think some of you maybe even asked about it, or I'm not really sure, because some of you have asked about a lot of aspects. I will eventually get to making videos about many of them. But right now I wanted to talk about this particular aspect because I think it is so important and so fascinating to me. And it has to do with Venus conjunct South Node in Synastry. And before I get into it, first of all, I would suggest that you also watch this other video that I made about how to interpret Rahu and Ketu in a natal chart and in Synastry, because that goes into more detail. I will link the video in the description. And also, again, if you are interested in a personalized consultation, you can email me at the email that I will write in the description. And yeah, thank you, and I will get into it right now. So, Venus conjunct South Node. First of all, just a quick introduction from that video where I talked about how to read Rahu and Ketu, or North Node and South Node respectively, in Synastry and in the natal chart. So if you remember, South Node, according to traditional Vedic astrology, is connected to past life experiences on the one hand, but as it is in tropical as well. But it's not just past life and past reincarnations. According to traditional Vedic astrology, the South Node represents diminishing energies, because the theory is that within this life, every person has to focus on developing the North Node and everything that it shows through sign and house placement and sign placement. So the theory is, according to, again, very traditional Vedic texts, that South Node contacts, conjunctions to planets, whether it's in Synastry or the natal chart, will diminish the energy of that planet, or will diminish everything that has to do with the areas of life that are governed by that particular planet. And this is why in traditional texts, the South Node conjunct Venus in Synastry is seen as a rather negative aspect, because it is said to diminish everything that Venus shows over time. So Venus shows love, it shows romance, pleasure, everything to do with sugar spice and everything nice and all the light areas of life, enjoyment, hedonism, everything to do with pleasure and hobbies and love. Basically love in one word, romantic love. So basically the theory is that having South Node conjunct Venus in Synastry will mean that even though you may be very attracted to a person at the beginning of a relationship or when you first meet them, the longer you are together, the less and less you will be feeling romantic love and romantic attraction towards this person. At least according, again, traditional perspective. However, this is not how I think about it. And let me try to expand. Now, I've seen this aspect in some relationships that I have analyzed in my personal life of people who are not famous. I also have a couple of famous examples that I will talk about at the end of the video. But the bottom line is, one thing that I've noticed about this aspect is that it definitely shows a very strong attraction to a person, or like this feeling of like deja vu. It's one of those aspects where, like, as soon as you meet this person and you have a South Node Venus conjunction, you will feel like, I've seen this person before. Like, you will feel immediately familiar. Like, I know this person. Like, even though this is the first time you've ever laid eyes on them, you will just have this feeling of, like, I know you from somewhere, right? And you can't really put your finger on it. However, past life romantic involvement. And this is what South Node conjunct Venus, Ketu conjunct Venus ultimately shows. It shows that in a past life, you were romantically involved with this person. More specifically, in theory, it means that if you're the South Node or the Ketu person, and this other person is the Venus, it means that they were your lover in a past life, or someone that you just had a romantic connection with. And this in itself doesn't actually show whether you're going to be compatible with this person, or whether you're going to be happy with this person, or whether the attraction is going to be mutual in this life, but it definitely shows some kind of quote-unquote karmic connection. Like, this is someone that you have dealt with in the past. And there can be, however, a million explanations for why you are meeting this person again. If you look at it from a karmic perspective, it could be that, this is somebody that you had a relationship and you betrayed them, or you wronged them in some way. Like, maybe in a past life you were married and you cheated on them. And now in this life you're meeting them again because you need to pay your debt to this person, karmically speaking. In which case, this could not be necessarily a happy relationship, understandably. It could be that now you get together and you're the one who's going to be cheated on by them, or you feel somehow burdened by the relationship, or somehow you will be tied to this person by a feeling of responsibility that you just can't understand. Like, you feel like you owe them something, and you are going to be nice to them, and they're just going to take advantage of you. Or it could be that in a past life, again, they have wronged you, and now they're super attracted to you, and maybe they're super in love with you, and they want to be with you, and you're not feeling it, right? And that's a karmic debt being settled, because they are unrequitedly being in love with you, because they hurt you in a past life. Or it could be, there could be a million scenarios. One thing that could also happen, and I've personally had this with somebody that intuitively, this is my feeling, that, from the very first time, like in all Venus South Node conjunctions that I have experienced, from the very first time I saw this person, there was this feeling of, wow, like, I've known this person somewhere. And there was, like, right at first sight, almost like an instant crush. Like, I felt like, oh my god, I know this person. And I just felt drawn to them on some very unexplainable level. And then, the longer I hung around them and got to know them, we didn't actually get to have any kind of a relationship. But just by observing them, I realized that while I felt drawn to them strangely, I also felt repulsed at the same time. Like, I felt like there was just something telling me to stay away from this person. And it's funny because they were kind of pursuing me, or they seemed really interested in me for a period of several years. Like, this was someone that I went to university with, and I ran into several times after we finished university. And it was really funny because, there was just always this feeling of, like, there's something wrong with this person. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even though on the one level, I had, like, this basic sort of, affection almost, or, like, sort of empathy for them, at the same time, there was, like, the feeling of stay away. And this is, again, this is my personal experience, and maybe it can be explained through other ways, but my feeling is that in a past life, this is somebody who probably did me wrong in some way. And this could be, like, obviously, romantic involvement could also mean that you were in an abusive relationship with someone in a past life. Like, maybe you got together and they would beat you up. Or, I don't know, or they broke your heart, again, like, maybe they left you in front of the altar or something, and, it could be a million scenarios, and this is why, this aspect in itself doesn't really show what kind of relationship you had in the past, but it definitely shows, almost certainly, some kind of sense of attraction and familiar energy with someone. And the best case scenario that you could get with this aspect is that in a past life, this is someone that you were in love with, but for one reason or another, you were never really able to have the kind of relationship that you both wanted. So, like, for instance, in the past where, there were those cases where, like, men and women would get engaged, and then the man would have to go to war, and he never came back. And and that's like a sad scenario where two people were, let's say, in love, and they wanted to be together, they wanted to spend the rest of their lives together, and one of them died. So in this life, you are meeting this person you are given a second chance, basically, to have this relationship with this person. So if that is the scenario, this could be a very long-term, possibly for life kind of relationship. So, yeah, I mean, in itself, again, it's basically my point was, like, I don't think it's a negative aspect, because if you listen to traditional texts, they will say, oh, this is going to end because eventually the South Node person is going to outgrow the Venus person. This is not really true. Also, you can definitely, one way in which you can tell 100% that this will not necessarily be the case, that the South Node person is going to outgrow Venus, is also if you have North Node contacts at the same time. So, like, let's say you have, I don't know, your South Node is conjunct this person's Venus, but it's also, but your North Node is conjunct their Mercury, or like their ascendant or something, in which case there is also something in their chart which is supporting this incarnation's journey, which is shown by your North Node. So in that case, you can definitely not get to the place where you feel, oh my god, this person is an anchor on my ankle and keeping me from, growing spiritually into my North Node. And another way you can look at this is to just look at the individual charts, because, for instance, somebody who already has a lot of South Node energy, they will be more comfortable with this kind of energy. Like, particularly somebody already, let's say, has South Node conjunct Venus natally. It means that, remember, the South Node, or Ketu, is also just spiritual energy. So they will be looking for a spiritual soulmate, someone that they can have this undefinable connection with. So in that case, if they meet somebody who has their South Node conjunct their already existing South Node Venus conjunction, they will be comfortable with this kind of energy, and they will be more likely to want to stick with this kind of relationship. Whereas, somebody who is more North Node dominant, it will show somebody who's more materialistic and more focused on their North Node. So when they meet somebody who has, like, their South Node conjunct their Venus, they're maybe going to feel like this person is dragging them back to some past life contact, that they don't want to think about anymore. So yeah, you have to look at the overall charts and the overall synastry. But overall, this is a pretty nice, I think, aspect to have if you also have other supportive aspects. In case in point, there are a few examples, like I mentioned. Not very many, because it's difficult to look for these kinds of examples of synastry aspects. But one example is Victoria and David Beckham, who have this together with a lot of other aspects that show compatibility. I've spoken about them before in the Venus-Mars conjunction video, because they have a double whammy, Venus conjunct Mars, and they also have Venus conjunct Mars in the composite chart. So they have a very strong emotional, romantic, and physical connection with each other. And then on top of that, they have the South Node Venus conjunction, and obviously they have a very long-lasting relationship. And then there's also Barack and Michelle Obama, who have the Venus conjunct South Node, but I also think they have, like, Venus conjunct. One of them has their Venus conjunct the other person's South Node, and the other one has the other person's North Node's conjunction. So they have that balancing of North Node versus South Node energies going on. And yet another example is Bill Gates and his wife Melinda, who also have this. So as you can see, all of these like very long-term relationships. Of course, that doesn't really say anything, because there's no way of knowing what kind of a past life connection these people had. But in these cases, it's probably safe to say that that scenario happened, of like in a past life they met and they were in love and they were somehow interrupted from having the kind of relationship that they wanted, and now in this life they are having the chance of living out that romance that they wanted. So yeah, I mean, this is what I wanted to say. If you have any questions, like if you have any comments, please comment, and of course don't forget to like and subscribe if you like the video and want to see more videos. And thank you, and bye!